Congressman Donalds, and it's great to have you with us, Congressman. I know you have a lot to say about this. What is the biggest discovery to come out of that hearing you and your colleagues held earlier this week?
I think two things are the biggest discovery, and this is not to take the fraud lightly. It's the fact that Governor Walz and the Attorney General Keith Ellison, they knew about this fraud and did nothing to stop it. Furthermore, the Walz administration was intimidating whistleblowers who work for the state of Minnesota, who work in the Department of Human Services in that department, and they were intimidating these witnesses, threatening their careers to stop them from coming forward. That's one. The second is the fact that when all these remittances leave Minnesota and go back to Somalia, they go through this money exchange network called the Hanwala Network, and it is based upon other reports that we have, Al-Shabaab, the largest al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia, and other terrorist organizations have access to that network. We know money's fungible, so it's pretty clear to see that these dollars going back overseas could in fact end up in the hands of foreign terrorist organizations, including the largest al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia. That's damning. Governor Walz had a responsibility to put a stop to this. Not only did he not put a stop to it, he intimidated people who were trying to put a stop to it.
Yeah, Congressman, I mean, given what you've just said and what you've seen, would you support the House sending a criminal referral on Governor Walz or Attorney General Keith Ellison over to the Justice Department over what you guys have exposed happening in Minnesota?
I would, and I think there's more investigation the House is going to do in this. The Vice President made an announcement yesterday, Vice President Vance, about there is going to be a new appointments made at the Department of Justice to dig into fraud in these social welfare programs all across the United States, and I support what the administration is doing. But we're going to continue our investigation, but I will fully support, based upon the hearing we had yesterday, other information we've already collected, and there's still more work to be done.
I want to turn to this. The 17 Republicans who voted with Democrats to pass the House Affordability Care Act bill yesterday. It's likely going nowhere, as we know, but a shutdown is now looming just weeks away. The president urging Republicans to be flexible on long-standing red lines like Hyde Amendment protections on abortion. Here's what the House Speaker had to say. Take a listen.
Republicans always stand by the Hyde provisions. It's been a tradition in our law forever. We do believe in the sanctity of human life, and we think it's important that taxpayer dollars not fund abortion. I mean, this is a well-settled principle of ours.
Congressman, where do you stand?
Well, listen, I want to see Hyde protections as well. It makes no sense that you would have federal dollars that could potentially fund abortion when abortion is a very divisive topic in American politics. That is clear. But what I would also say is that it's now, what, January 7th, January 8th? The House leadership should have had a plan on this a month ago. And that's just where we are. There are many plans amongst House Republicans, but we should have come to a plan already where you could have had the substantial reforms of the Affordable Care Act that are necessary before you even begin to talk about subsidies. And one of the biggest reforms is what the president has put forward, saying that these subsidies, which Democrats want to go to insurance companies, instead of them sending them to insurance companies, which wrote Obamacare with Barack Obama and congressional Democrats 15 years ago, put that money in the hands of the American people so they can actually have more purchasing power and make real health care decisions. You combine that with serious reforms that get rid of the regulatory bloat of the Affordable Care Act, which has made health insurance unaffordable in the United States. That's the path forward. There is a bill by Senator Rick Scott, Representative August Pfluger. That's a bill I support, which gets us a large way there. There's many more things that we can do, but this is really now incumbent on House leadership. They got to put a plan on the table for the members to consider.
All right, Congressman Byron Donalds, always great having you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
What you just heard should shock every American who still believes in accountability, law and order, and national security. Because this is not just about fraud. This is about government corruption, intimidation, and the possibility that U.S. taxpayer money ended up funding terrorists. And yet, where is the outrage from the left? Nowhere. Congressman Byron Donalds just laid it out plain and simple. This wasn't a case of, oops, we didn't know. According to testimony from the House hearing, Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison knew this fraud was happening, and they did nothing. Let that sink in. Not only did they fail to stop it, But the Walz administration allegedly went a step further. They tried to silence whistleblowers. State employees, people working inside Minnesota's Department of Human Services, raised red flags. Instead of being thanked, they were allegedly intimidated. Careers threatened, pressure applied. That is not leadership. That is not transparency. That is abuse of power. This is how corrupt systems operate. When truth threatens the narrative, the people in power don't fix the problem. They go after the messengers. And we've seen this playbook before, haven't we? IRS whistleblowers, FBI whistleblowers, COVID dissenters, parents at school board meetings. Every time someone speaks up against a progressive bureaucracy, the hammer comes down. Minnesota is just the latest example. But here's where the story gets even more dangerous. According to Congressman Donalds, the fraudulent money leaving Minnesota didn't just disappear. It was sent overseas through a Hawala-style money exchange network, a system already known for being exploited by criminal and extremist groups. And reports show that Al-Shabaab, the largest al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia, has access to that same network. Let me be very clear here. Money is fungible. That means once those dollars leave the U.S., you cannot guarantee where they end up. If even $1 of American taxpayer money made its way into terrorist hands, that is a national security failure of the highest order. And again, Walz had a responsibility to stop this. He didn't. So when Congressman Donalds says he would support a criminal referral to the Department of Justice, that is not partisan. That is called oversight. The left loves to say no one is above the law. Fine. Let's test that principle. If a Republican governor allowed this to happen, the media would be screaming for indictments 24/7. CNN panels, MSNBC specials, editorials calling for resignations. But because it's Tim Walz? Silence. Now we hear Vice President Vance announcing new DOJ appointments to investigate fraud across social welfare programs nationwide. And thank God for that. Because this problem is not isolated to Minnesota. This is what happens when massive federal programs are rushed out with no accountability, no safeguards, and no enforcement. All in the name of compassion. Real compassion protects taxpayers and the people who actually need help. What we've gotten instead is negligence wrapped in virtue signaling. And then Donalds pivots to something else that matters a lot. 17 Republicans voting with Democrats on Obamacare. Let's call this what it is, weakness. Republicans were elected to fix the mess, not preserve it. Donalds is absolutely right. House leadership should have had a plan ready weeks ago. Instead, we're staring down another potential shutdown while Americans struggle under crushing healthcare costs. And on the Hyde Amendment, this should not even be up for debate. Taxpayer dollars should never fund abortion. Period. If Democrats want to argue morality, fine. But forcing Americans to fund something they fundamentally oppose is not democracy. It's coercion. Donalds stands firm here, and that matters. Real healthcare reform. But the most important point Donalds makes is this. Stop sending subsidies to insurance companies. These same companies helped write Obamacare with Democrats. They benefit from complexity, bureaucracy, and confusion. Instead, put the money directly in the hands of the American people. Let families choose. Let competition work. Cut the regulatory bloat that's made insurance unaffordable in the first place. That's real reform. And that's why bills from leaders like Rick Scott and August Pfluger deserve attention, not backroom deals that protect the status quo. So here's the takeaway. Minnesota fraud wasn't accidental. Whistleblowers were allegedly silenced. Taxpayer money may have flowed into terrorist-linked networks. Democrats looked the other way. And some Republicans still don't have the courage to fight. This is why oversight matters. This is why elections matter. And this is why patriots cannot stay silent. If you believe in accountability, transparency, and putting America first, then stories like this should make you angry and motivated. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Tim Walz face a criminal referral? Should whistleblowers be protected, not punished? Like this video, share it, and subscribe because the truth doesn't silence itself.